vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
Chaos erupted after that. Our next guest was standing just a few feet from where Ted Cruz said that. Aaron Katursky, live in Cleveland, Ohio. Good morning, Aaron.
A front row seat to all the booing that erupted in this hall, McGraw, after Ted Cruz wrapped up a speech that had been well received by the crowd until the moment it became apparent he was not going to endorse Donald Trump. That's when the catcalls started from the New York delegation saying, country first, endorse, do it, we want Trump. And Ted Cruz's response was only, I appreciate the enthusiasm of the New York delegation.
Why did they know he was not going to endorse? Was this speech?
Trump knew it.
Trump knew it early on.
Trump knew it. Every speech that goes here at the convention gets vetted by the campaign, the Melania Trump's thing notwithstanding.
Right.
So the Trump campaign knew. Donald Trump said on Twitter that he knew 2 hours in advance. He may have known well before that Ted Cruz was not going to offer the endorsement, and yet was able to manage it. So he sauntered into the hall at the very moment Ted Cruz was walking off to a chorus of boos, looking entirely unbothered at what just transpired.
Why did they let him speak if they knew he was going to cause such a scene?
Who knows the calculus? You could, try to mind read the Trump calculus. Maybe Donald Trump says, yeah, go ahead, don't endorse me. You give your little 2020, speech, and just let me come into the room, and I will be the one to unite the party. If you aren't going to do it, Ted Cruz, well, then it might as well be me. Or they just let him speak, and Trump did what he does. He just came into the room, stole the attention, and everybody moved on.
It's a good point. Trump doesn't mind bad press just as long as they're talking about him in some way, shape, or form. But reaction after the boos, afterwards, after he left the convention speech, what were some of the people saying?
There was a good deal of frustration, even anger. Heidi Cruz had to be escorted out of the room because the delegation where she was standing ended up pushing and shoving and yelling and threatening her, and so they grabbed her by the arm and moved her out. This was an angry crowd when Ted Cruz refused to get behind Donald Trump and seemed to be delivering a speech that he wished he could have been giving here at the convention had he been the nominee. But no one in Camp Trump seemed to mind. I mean, the Trump family sat there stone-faced in the VIP box, not clapping along, even at some of Ted Cruz's most important lines. So they knew that Cruz was not going to be forthcoming. Instead of endorsing, he chose to linger.
We're seeing two different ways people are sort of turning their back to Trump. Cruz doing it his way, and then John Kasich doing it his way. It seems like, and a lot of people are saying this, they're jockeying for position for 2020.
Two schools of thought there, right? If Ted Cruz knew he was going to walk into this hall and not get behind Donald Trump, then some said you should have just stayed home, pull the John Kasich card, and even if it seems, indecorous, just don't show up. There are others who saw in this moment what could be Cruz's next presidential campaign, as he gave a much broad, appealing type speech, more so than we had ever heard him before. But this wasn't the first time, McGraw, that this convention seemed to get away from Trump, at least initially. There was the whole thing with the speech, this insubordination, the dissent at the roll call. Trump can fix all of it with a memorable speech tonight when he accepts the nomination, and people may forget about all those things.
Aaron Katursky, we're hearing that the crowd isn't as big and there are quite a number of empty seats. You're there. How packed is this event hall space?
It's full. I wouldn't say it's packed to the gills. I bet it will be tonight for the moment to hear Donald Trump. And at times, the crowd has left early, and the convention really has seemed to lack energy, but it was given a jolt by that snub, and everybody stuck around last night to hear Mike Pence, who, with kind of a tone of quiet authority and some self-deprecating humor, gave a very well-received introduction of himself.
Yes. However, all morning long, all across the country, everyone's talking about Ted Cruz, though.
It's true. And if it was Pence's night, Cruz stole the show and is going to be speaking at a breakfast about an hour from now, perhaps to explain his decision, or maybe just to bask in the applause he received when he went back to the Texas delegate hotel and spoke to people who were appreciative of what he's done. This may have been the moment to express party unity, but it was scuttled. And Ted Cruz spoke for the skeptics in this party who don't see Donald Trump as their standard bearer, no matter what the roll call said.
Aaron Katersky's got a front row seat to history, and he tells us each and every morning at 6:50. Aaron, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Thanks, McGraw.
6:50.